In the quiet, frozen corners of Vermont, some secrets are kept by the snow. They lie dormant under a blanket of white, waiting for the spring thaw to reveal what's been hidden. But on the night of March the 19th, 2004, a secret was left out in the open, under the cold gaze of the moon. It started with a car, a 1985 Oldsmobile sedan, green and weathered, found in a place it should never have been. It was backed into the side of an abandoned, dilapidated farmhouse, known to the locals as the Old Dutch Burn House. The rear of the car was crumpled slightly, the taillight broken, resting against the peeling clapboard of the building. The driver's side door was left ajar, swinging gently in the wind. Inside, on the front seat, lay a single unsmoked cigarette. Nearby, 2 uncashed paychecks, a pair of glasses she couldn't see without, medication she needed daily. Everything a person needs to live was left behind. But the person herself, she was gone. This is the story of Brianna Maitland, a story that begins not with a crime, but with an eerie, silent question mark left on the side of a lonely Vermont road. To understand the mystery of where she went, you have to understand who she was. Brianna Maitland was 17 years old, standing on the fragile bridge between being a girl and becoming a woman. Her friends described her as fiercely independent, a little shy, but with a quiet strength and a deep well of kindness. She had intelligent hazel eyes that seemed to see more than she let on, and dark brown hair she often tucked behind her ears. Her life wasn't perfect. It was real. Just a few weeks before she vanished, she had moved out of her parents' home to live with a friend, seeking the freedom that all teenagers crave. She was working 2 jobs, one as a dishwasher at a local inn, another at a diner, piecing together a life of her own. She had just taken her GED exam, a step toward a future she was just beginning to imagine. But in the small town of Montgomery, Vermont, independence can sometimes feel like isolation. The winters are long, the nights are dark, and for a young woman trying to find her way, the world can feel both full of possibility and fraught with unseen dangers. Brianna was a writer. In a small, spiral-bound notebook, she filled pages with poems and thoughts, capturing the hopes and fears of a girl on the edge of everything. One entry, written just a month before she disappeared, reads, "I feel like I'm waiting for something to happen. I don't know if it's good or bad. I just know it's coming." She had no idea how right she was. March 19th, 2004 was a normal Friday. Brianna woke up early. She drove to a nearby town to take her GED test. Her mother, Kelly, remembers her daughter being proud and confident when she called her afterward. It was a milestone, a sign that she was moving forward. After the test, she and her mother went out for lunch. It was a simple, happy moment, the kind that would later be replayed in her mother's mind a million times. They talked about Brianna's jobs, her friends, her plans for the future. Everything seemed normal. Later that afternoon, Brianna prepared for her shift at the Black Lantern Inn, a historic and cozy restaurant in Montgomery. She put on her work clothes, grabbed her bag, and headed out the door. Her co-workers would later tell police that Brianna seemed tired that night, but otherwise in good spirits. The shift was busy. She finished her work around 11:20 p.m. She was supposed to go straight to her friend Jillian's house, where she was staying. Before leaving, she sat in her car for a few minutes, chatting with a coworker. She mentioned she had to be up early for her second job the next morning. She seemed focused on the future, on the mundane responsibilities of her new adult life. She turned the key in the ignition of her 1985 Oldsmobile. Her coworker watched as her taillights disappeared down the dark, snowy road. It was the last time anyone is confirmed to have seen her. The drive from the Black Lantern Inn to her friend's house was short, only about 15 miles, a familiar route she had taken many times. But somewhere on that drive, something went wrong. The next morning, Jillian, the friend Brianna was living with, woke up and realized Brianna had never come home. At first, she wasn't overly concerned. Brianna was independent. Maybe she had stayed with another friend. But as the hours ticked by, a knot of worry began to tighten. Around the same time, a passing motorist saw something strange on the side of Route 118, about a mile from the Black Lantern Inn. A green Oldsmobile backed into the side of the abandoned old Dutchburn house. It was an odd sight, but in rural Vermont, strange things happen. He didn't think much of it. Later that day, another driver saw the same car, then another. Finally, a Vermont state trooper was dispatched to the scene. And that's when the eerie silence of the mystery began to take shape. The scene was unsettling. The car wasn't just parked, it was positioned. The rear bumper was pressed against the weathered wood of the abandoned farmhouse, almost as if it had been deliberately but gently placed there. The impact had been minor, a small dent, a cracked taillight. Inside, the car was a time capsule of a life interrupted. On the front seat were Brianna's 2 uncashed paychecks, totaling a little over $100, her driver's license, her medication for migraines, her contact lenses. On the passenger seat, a book she had been reading. Beside it, the single, unsmoked cigarette. Outside the car, investigators found a few loose coins, a water bottle, and a single earring that matched one Brianna often wore. There were no signs of a struggle, no blood, no footprints in the melting snow, other than those of the police and the motorists who had stopped to look. It was as if she had simply stepped out of her car and vanished into the cold Vermont air. Her mother, Kelly, and her father, Bruce, arrived at the scene. When they saw the car, they knew. This was not a runaway. Brianna would never have left without her glasses. She would never have left her paychecks. She would never have left without a word. But the initial police response was slow. They treated it as a possible runaway case, a theory the family rejected with every fiber of their being. Those first 48 hours, the most critical in any missing person investigation, were a blur of frustration and fear. As the days turned into weeks, the mystery of the old Dutchburn house only deepened. Investigators started to piece together witness accounts from the night Brianna vanished. One motorist, who drove by between 11:30 p.m. and midnight, said he saw the car backed into the house, and its reverse lights were on. Not the headlights, but the reverse lights, as if someone was in the driver's seat with the car in gear. Another witness, driving by a few minutes later, also saw the car, but he saw something else. He claimed he saw a figure standing near the vehicle. He couldn't make out if it was a man or a woman. He just remembered a feeling of unease. But the most chilling statement came from a third driver who passed by around the same time. He too saw the car against the house. But he was certain of one detail that sent a shiver down everyone's spine. He said the car's headlights were on, illuminating the dark road, and he saw someone walking away from the vehicle, moving down the road, away from the scene. He described the person as looking dazed. If that's true, it raises a terrifying set of questions. If the reverse lights were on at one point and the headlights on at another, It means someone was likely in the car after it was backed into the house. Who was that person? Was it Brianna walking away from an accident in a state of shock? Or was it someone else? Someone who had staged the scene, turned on the lights, and was now quietly slipping away into the night. The car wasn't just abandoned, it was a puzzle. And the first piece of that puzzle was the position of the car itself. Was it an accident? A strange choice made by a disoriented teenager? Or was it the opening move in a terrifying game that had just begun? What do you think happened at the old Dutchburn house that night? Was it an accident, a runaway, or the start of something far more sinister? Share your initial theories in the comments below. In part 2, we'll dive into the flawed investigation, the dark rumors that haunt this small town, and the names of the people who might know more than they're willing to say. Subscribe and hit the bell. The search for Brianna Maitland has just begun.